Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York, and we're very happy to be here with you today. Folks, excited about this particular stream. We're going to be doing a little meditation and diving into a meditation that I've been pretty interested in and been having some fun with. So, folks, we launched a little late today. We had the countdown was just a few minutes. Raquel and I were doing some fun stuff, working on our kitchen and talking about business, and we didn't hit the go button, but we're here on time. We're rocking and rolling. Lovely to be here with you as always, folks. So today we're going to be practicing for 25 minutes as always, but as we begin to roll in here, let us know in the chat where you're coming from. Hello from Brooklyn, folks. Yeah, so where are folks joining us from as we begin to trickle in here? I have half a mind today to go over, Nick barely got here too, I know, just in time. Welcome from Karlstad, glad to see you. I'm curious, Nick, if you were able to do the last couple meditations, because I feel like something you were talking about came up, but you had to go. Anyway, I think you had to go, and I was like thinking of you when we were guiding the meditation. So Nate, lovely to have you here from West Virginia. Mountain Mama, nice to see you here. I'll call Nate the country road. And let's see here. My puppy's going to be a little active. Hopefully we won't have to worry about that, but we'll see. We'll see. Next thing, I think we had there was one time with a puppy, you know, hey, listen, we have a puppy. For us, we're like, it's a bummer, but you got to deal with it. And I think it was barking on the stream. I think we lost like 5 people on the stream due to the dogs yipping, but you know, what are you going to do? Maybe it's more on the whining side. Okay, so I was thinking today of having a little bit of fun, and Beep Up is going over a book that I mentioned on the stream recently called Don't Look Down at the Defilements. It's a cartoon book on meditation, but it's very well done. And just going over the various cartoon frames because I like them. I wonder if our web browser reader would read this stuff. Let's see if this reads. I want to see if this works.
Don't look down on the defilements.
No, it read some totally different section of what I was looking at. It lost my page and then read the title of the book. Not helpful. Thank you very much. We have ourselves here a new follow from Black Skull. I missed it. All right, I missed your name here. Hit me in the chat. Just say hello so I can figure out who you are. I'd like to say thank you officially for the follow. That's very kind of you. Let's see here. We are looking here. Oh, here we go. Black Skulls Mortem. Black Skulls Mortem. I'm probably just reading that wrong. Oh my goodness. And a subscription. Thank you so much for that. That was very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Thanks so much for that. Good to have you here with us. Let me go back here. I'm missing some of the chats here. No, couldn't make the last 2. This is Nick, but I'll check them out. Glad you'll be along with us asynchronously, of course. What is it? What's the atonic or ego dystonic? That's a term I like. Ego dystonic. Jean says, morning from Brooklyn. Morning, Jean. I think you're right over here, actually. You're in that direction from me. I thought it was Black Scholastic. Black Skulls Mortem. Black Skulls Mortem. Very Halloweeny. Nick says, the voice is right on the uncanny valley. Exactly. Well, that's where you want it. You want it exactly creepy and interesting. Good morning from Kingston. Great to have you here, Rory, as always. And we got a sub here from Black Skull Merton. Thomas Merton, and I'm trying to make the connection here. Sending meta your way. Well, thank you so much there, Black Skulls Merton. Lovely as always to have you. 2020CL, hello from Great Britain, acclimatizing to the new time change in Europe. That is true. Europe has switched its time. I think we're switching in a few weeks. I don't know who's with me on my campaign, but my campaign is that we just go to one universal time. It's 8 a.m. everywhere, all the time, and we switch our, schedules based on that regionally. Let's see. And I haven't heard an argument against that yet. I haven't heard what is the argument against that just being the simplest system. We should go to metric system, and we should all be on one time. There shouldn't be there shouldn't be different times. If it's 8 a.m. here, it's 8 a.m. in China. It's just dark in China and bright here. That's just the difference. I also think, I don't know why daylight savings, or I don't know if they call it that everywhere, but that's what they call it in the United States, doesn't emphasize light. Like, why wouldn't it switch so that there was more light in the day? Like, suicide rates go up, like depression goes up, all this stuff because of the lack of sunlight. So why not, if you want a very efficient economy and efficient world or whatever, switch it. If you're going to switch something, switch it so that we have more light in our day. Maybe, the morning is right at sunrise. Why not switch it to sunrise in that way? Okay. Let's see. Hello. Sorry, that's why I missed class. Well, you're in trouble for missing class, little buddy. Okay, so Brian says, good morning here from New Orleans. Welcome. Great to see you here, hunkering down for a hurricane. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't realize a hurricane was headed towards New Orleans. I'm very sorry to hear that. Please stay safe. We switch on Sunday. Okay, so apparently Sunday is the time change, babe. Daylight savings. So wait, we spring forward or we fall behind? So meaning we lose an hour of sleep. Great. That's just what I need. Why would they have the one where you lose an hour of sleep be in the winter also? It's like such a bad idea. Regardless, daylight savings is in the summer. Oh, I thought daylight savings was just the name of the time switch in general. But okay, we'll see. Is it nighttime savings? Nick says, how thought out is the order structure, by the way, if any, and do you get put in meditation detention for not doing them in order, or you gain one? So, you gain an hour of sleep. Oh, great. Okay. When you say the order, do you mean the order of the meditations in the live streams? They're the order of the meditations in the live stream. So if anyone's paying attention, I don't know if anyone is, but basically, you get a freebie of all the courses that we're doing. So we're doing various courses, we're working with students, and what happens is in the courses that we're building, we need guided meditations, we need recordings. So we'll talk about, okay, there's a gap in our system here, a gap in our system there, and we'll be filling in these various meditations. So what you're typically getting is one of two things. One, an experiment of something we haven't done before, and we're trying to find like a new meditation technology, something that hasn't been done or we haven't heard or it doesn't exist out there. So that's one thing, and this is part of the premise of the live stream, is to be able to experiment, and this is where I learn most of my meditation technique, is through doing it with you folks. I tried actually once recording a bunch of meditations just alone in a room, like a nice silent, soundproofed room. I got like 10 minutes in, I was like, this doesn't work. This isn't going to work. That's actually what made me launch the live stream. I was like thinking about it for a long time, and I was like, that's it. I got to do it, because I think my mind won't think unless there's someone else there and I'm guiding a real person. If it's just a pretend thing, it's not real. So that's one thing that you'll see here in the guided meditations on the live stream. The other thing is the thing of courses, something that does work, a meditation technology that is functioning and it's working for people, and I want either a clean version of that, maybe I don't have a clean version, or I want to turn it into a series of several meditations in a row. So you're getting, this is basically this is the cutting edge, man. This is Red Rocks. This is the edge. Okay, let's see. Well, Saturday night I have work day. Sorry about that. AI phone will do it for you, and I wouldn't worry. He says, "Go Team Beta." Yeah, this is. I mean, it's sort of beta. It's sort of alpha, though, if you really think about it. Let's see. Okay, so folks, the next thing is beep pop pop beep pop 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 pop. Oh, my favorite part. It's the meditation part. You guys, this is the part where we meditate. So we're going to be meditating for 25 minutes. If you've been here before, you've heard me say this. But then if that's the case, then you can meditate right through this. So let's see how conscious you can be of what I'm about to say. And for other people, you can just gather the information. We're going to be sitting still, so I'm going to encourage people not to move the bodies, except under two circumstances. One is if you feel overwhelm arising, you want to catch overwhelm really early on, and go ahead and just make a small adjustment. Sometimes just a wiggle of the body is great, or if you need to, you can just stop the meditation or open the eyes. You can modulate how much you pull out in the process, and that's one situation. The other one is just that whatever thing is wanting you to move, making you want to move, it is so distracting that you can't handle it, and in that case you just make the move, scratch the itch, whatever it is, very slowly, maybe over the course of 30 seconds or a minute, so that you stay conscious. I'm going to encourage folks to sit at the edge of their cushion or seat, whatever that is. This allows the hips to, these are the hips, this is where we're sitting right at the edge. They tip forward just slightly. This allows, as the thing tips forward, this allows the lower back to curve, the upper back to curve after that. And then we'll go from there. I still have this fantasy about making an animation of this, so any animators who are listening and want to make a cool meditation thing, let me know. Okay, so folks, find that nice comfortable position. I put the memory chip, it puts the memory chip in its recorder, and then we will begin. Okay. Find that nice comfortable position. Last time I forgot to put the timer on. That used to be such a problem that Nick had to actually remind me every time. So even though I've remembered for a year now, I think I'm still going to count it as Nick's fault that I forgot last time. You're supposed to remind me every time. I'm just kidding. Okay, we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths, just feeling the body rise and fall. And observing the experience of a human body, breathing in and breathing out. Observing the experience of a human body physically relaxing. Relaxing the major muscle groups and relaxing deep within the body, the place where the flesh attaches to the bone. As though if we let go deeply enough, the muscles themselves would simply float away. And we're going to begin by taking a kind of soft snapshot of all of the body's experience. So we're not trying to add every little bit of possible experience, just what is present now. And for fun, we're going to try to hold that snapshot. So taking a general snapshot of the body's experience at this moment. Not being fussy about the details, just a general capture, and then holding that detail. And noticing that while holding that experience, holding that snapshot, creates a kind of continuity. Those sensations expanded out over time. The sensations are inevitably replaced. Replaced by similar sensations or different sensations. Or perhaps the mind flickers and changes how it's observing. The constellation rearranges. So we take a snapshot, stay with that arrangement, and watch as it inevitably decays. This gives us a very direct connection with the impermanent experience. Anything we try to hold on to perceptually will be replaced. We may notice that taking the snapshot and holding it can take a fair amount of effort. As though we're building a castle out of sand. So observing this nature. It's the nature of experiences to appear to us to seem solid, to seem like nouns that we can hold on to and collect. But each of these seemingly solid experiences breaks down, decays, collapses, and is replaced. and to create a sense of stability, the mind treats each of these moments as though they were objects, nouns, things that were solid. The mind remembers these other moments and puts them all together and says that we as people are solid, our experience of the world is solid. Simply nouns interacting with other nouns. As though we were some kind of game piece operating on a complex game board. But let's look at these nouns as they appear and disappear. The mind tells us this experience is very solid. This is the world, this is the body. This is X, Y, or Z part of the body. But notice that we're actually observing a process, not an object. We truly think of the body as a thing, our experience as a solid process, solid thing that we navigate the world with. But in actuality, it's this ongoing process. Appearing to us out of the darkness of unconsciousness, the sensations we can't detect yet, into consciousness where we can observe, directly experience sensation. So again, simply taking a snapshot of the body's experience. And watching it decay, watching it break down. And of course, this taking of a snapshot, this is to some degree forced, where taking an action that we might not normally do. But noticing that this is what the mind does already. Creates a sense of the world to navigate through, and then imagines it will continue on, imagines that it was continuous with previous moments. So let's observe for a moment the part of the mind that takes the snapshot. The experience of the observer, sometimes experienced as me. Noticing that this too comes into our experience, comes into the present moment. It appears to us. And while we may have a memory of previous experiences that seems similar, recognizing the only one we have direct access to is this one. Letting the experience of the observer of the body include and expand to all of our senses, all that we can sense in this particular moment. Not making an effort to capture all the little bits and ideas of things we could sense, just what is detected. Noticing that the mind will tell us subtly that there is continuity, there is solidity. There's me and there's the world. There's the objects I imagine around me at this time. But if we observe any of these experiences, which of them stay? Which of them continue in the same form, this platonic ideal that the mind holds? And simply by applying a kind of freeze frame, intentionally doing what the mind does implicitly, holding them making their constellation static for a moment, we see that they immediately break down. And even if the sensation seems stable, the mind that knows it comes in waves, appears in this particular moment, decays and reforms. In this way, and in this way, watching our world, our universe appear to us. Over and over, this particular moment. Coming out of seemingly nowhere, rising from the unconscious experience, what the body senses, but what is not in our consciousness yet, coming from this into our consciousness. Noticing that the detail of what we're sensing is endlessly rich. Endlessly and spectacularly specific. It's never been this arrangement before, at least not in this moment. And observing that richness shows us a kind of depth of experiencing. A kind of density that, as it appears, is both experienced as solid and empty. Finding the beautiful turbulence as experiences arise and collapse together. Noticing this as the fiber of our experience. Sense appearing out of nowhere, collapsing into nothing. And for a moment, indulging a concept that we don't know all of the forces that caused our cosmos, our universe, to appear out of nothing. To range and push and pull over billions and billions of years. But if all of that momentum could express itself in the form of matter and galaxies and solar systems and planets and life, if it could express itself in the form of a human body-mind, we do know precisely what that expression would be. And that's this. And staying with the practice. Staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes. Eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting the richness of seeing merge with the richness we've been exploring. Observing the way this moment appears, decays, and is replaced. And in this way, allowing this particular moment to be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so making any adjustments, you need to allow the body to be comfortable. As you begin to adjust, don't necessarily let go of the meditation. This can often be the case. We've had so much practice in life following the momentum of a narrative of self and world. So let us still let a little of the practice itself hang out in the periphery. This can feel a little spacey. So for sometimes it'll feel different. Sometimes it'll have a variety of experiences, but letting that be part of the experience and letting those two bleed together. This is part of how we learn to practice continuously. So, I can only assume, since there aren't a bunch of messages in the chat, that the stream actually worked. It continued, it broadcasted correctly. If that's the case, then you had some kind of experience. I mean, you had some kind of experience either way. The thing is, this transmission system we have here, okay, here, I've always been annoyed in dreams when I realize I'm in a dream and I realize they haven't developed the technology yet to make a call from inside a dream to outside of a dream. I want to tell somebody about what's happening. It's very cool. Or they haven't invented the technology yet to transfer money from inside a dream to outside of a dream. I've many times been caught in this predicament. It's like, how do I get this out though? Like, what do I do? I have all this dream money. In the same way, they have not yet developed the technology to tell me what's happening inside your meditation experience through a live streaming setup. Not yet. So the way that we do this, we use a much more developed technology, much more advanced technology. We use our digital technology, and we tippy type on the keyboard about what our experience was. If folks want to jump on to this more primitive technology, Zoom, you can chit chat about your experience, and I can give you a little bit more detail about, a little more detailed input. And beep pop pop beep pop pop pop. Yeah, so tell me what that experience was like. Writing down a report is a powerful way to expand your meditation experience, to lock it in, and to help others explore and navigate. So, what was that like? What happened, and what are you like now? That was very fun for me. That is it's a new version of an old process. It's actually, if anyone is taking the Progress of Shinsight course, you'll know that is related to the new practice that we were doing before, and about the way that perception sort of starts over and over again. It just starts again and starts again and starts again. I've mentioned this before, but this is part of why we like shows like Westworld, where the robots are, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's an excellent show, especially the first season. Second season, a lot of people hate, but I like it. I like the second season. It's chaotic on purpose, I think. First season is very orderly. Second season, more chaotic. But how it works for these robots is they sort of like wake up and they're like, oh, yes, it's the morning. I just woke up. And their whole like life is just a bunch of memories. And they are like, oh, yes, I'm in the world. But this is how we wake up. We wake up right now. If it would be experientially plausible that you were just created in this moment and all of your past is just a bunch of memories. Total Recall is based on this premise that if you just replace the memories, it's just the experience you have been there. So this is very appealing to us because we really only experience this particular moment, vaguely hold other moments as memories, but we only have access to those in this moment. So all there is this particular moment, and observing that as it appears and disappears is a very powerful way to show us the nature of perception. Nick says here, oh wait, I want to try the reading system. We haven't done this in a little bit, so I want to try to have the computer read this stuff to me. Where is this? Where's my? Oh, here it is. Okay, computer. Do I even have Twitch open? I think it crashed. Okay. There we go. Here we go. Twitch.tv. Oh, I think it doesn't show me the chat. Oh, that's the problem. Okay, next chats I can have it read to me. But the ones that came a moment ago, I can't. I'll read those myself using the old eyeballs. Okay, Nick felt like about 5 minutes using the metaphor of muscles melting off the bone seemed to trigger some fear of dissolution. That is true. So I've even guided before, like, let go so deeply that it feels like you're falling. So that makes sense. Like the borders get fuzzy and I can't locate myself. Okay, and that's fine. We want to always be looking at our window of tolerance. Like, is this okay for us at this time? Is this, do we feel safe? And then, exploring those things. But there's nothing wrong with that, the sense of self disappearing, or we feel like physically distorted in some way. It's not a problem. All that stuff is like normal stuff that can happen in meditation. Some disorientation and resistance occurs, but it's very manageable. That's great, as long as it's manageable. And you can look back at the part that is being disoriented. Where is the center of that? What is the thing that remains in order for disorientation to happen? Because for something to, in a way, it's like to be disoriented, there has to be something still trying to hold on. That's what dizziness is. One part's trying to hold on, and a lot of the system is not holding on. If you want to go further in that direction. If you want to stabilize, you can always open your eyes and look around, this kind of thing. Feels like I always need to maintain the border or they will decay. And that's hard work, keeping yourself together. It is. And once we notice this, we start to realize the mind is doing this all the time. It's trying to keep reality together. It's trying to hold the world in its place. It's like, stay still, stay still. That was particularly great for me. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I feel very rested and focused now. Well, that's lovely. I'm very glad to hear that. Hopefully that was fun and interesting. All right, now I can read the next one. It's pretty short though, but anyway, I want to try the reading software. Here we go.
Today the arisings were easy to see, but the falling away part not so clear, even though I know it's happening if the arisings are happening.
Great. So what I would say, Rory, there is, while the arisings are happening, I was looking, this is how I'm actually pointing at the decay and the passing away, is you actually, I think you probably did see the decay to some degree, but it wasn't, heavy gone. When we see that thing, okay, here's this particular, you can do it now, here's this particular moment, and then it just sort of like crumbles and it's pushed and replaced by something else. Yes, we're looking at the thing that it's replaced by, right? But as it's replaced, the experience of it being replaced, there is something that is like, there's some sort of weird, like, oh, it's being replaced. That sort of disorientation is the system holding on to something as it collapses, is the system reorienting towards this new thing. And it's within that the decay is within that. And I'll also mention that at the end, when we got into the sort of spaciousness of the sort of emptiness and the fullness happening, I'd be curious from people's experience if that was available or if that was too far afield. The sort of like, it's so present, the experience, but it's also so it pulls out of from unconsciousness as though from nowhere. Like it's like reality's appearing out of emptiness, out of nothing. That is the same material. It's gone, except it's gone from the other perspective. It's gone. It's like the deep side of arising is passing. We're talking about a loop here. So it's as though things were just appearing out of nowhere into consciousness, and then they're replaced and they appear out of nowhere. That nowhere is also gone. So it can feel less like a sort of falling or dropping than a sort of like ultra rich, ultra impossibly dense nothing that is like sort of so fertile. It just like everything is being born from it. So I don't know if that's your experience, but that's part of the way I was guiding it today. Zen Mind says, is the mind trying to kill itself for enlightenment? No. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions there. So it's like, is the mind trying to do that? No. Is it killing something? Depends how you define kill. Itself. Is it referring to itself? Is it referring to, is it the mind that's being, basically I would rearrange that entire thing and say awakening is nature watching nature. And that might be too far of a leap to like see the connection between the two, but it's just feels the most accurate. It is the system that can observe, that can be aware, observing the nature of perception. at a very granular fundamental level. So and now I'll go back though, but in that process, the mind this isn't always the case, so I don't want to assume how it is for different people, but often the mind is known, the experience of the mind is known. The way the mind organizes data and organizes the world is known to the mind. It is taken in. A lot of those organizations and tendencies and habits begin to seem very arbitrary or very like, does that really make a lot of sense? That often is the case. So the experience of a self, the experience of inside and outside, a world, a sort of time and space, all these things start to say, so that it seems so solid, suddenly start to be like, wait a minute, that's not quite what I thought it was. It's sort of more of a blip than it is a sort of noun. We talked a lot about in guided meditation, the difference between a noun experience and a verb experience. And so we're observing, these things that seem to be nouns are actually verbs. So for that, the mind, a lot of what the mind does is turn things into objects in order to navigate the world. And if we observe those objects breaking down, the sense can be that the sense of self and solidity, like Nick was talking about, is breaking down itself. But mind kill itself. It's just, there's a way in which that's totally true, and there's many ways in which it's also not true. So that's sort of that's the breakdown. Hopefully that clarifies. If it doesn't clarify, let me know. If you want more clarity, we can jump on Zoom and we can chit chat like kitty cats. Let me pop that in the thing again. Again, if you want to jump onto Zoom, tell me, because we don't launch it until somebody's on there. Okay, Black Skull Merton. Black Skull Merton. I'll call you a Black Skull. Is this decay due to wandering attention? Ooh, very interesting. Or is it another mechanism entirely? No, this decay is not necessarily due to wandering attention, although that can be part of that could be in there. That could be in there somewhere. There's only so much real estate in consciousness. And what happens is, it seems that we hold this little piece, let's call it this. This is what we can consciously experience, and the body is picking up all of this other stuff all around that is not conscious, but it comes into consciousness. Things appear, they come and appear into consciousness. In order to make sense of that, the mind turns everything into little objects, because it can't grab onto anything if it's all just a continuous flow. It's all just moving. So it makes objects, and it tries to attend to those objects. I'm looking at this thing, okay, it's very solid, but the way that one of the tricks it uses, the mind, to make things seem solid is it'll look at something very solid. That's very solid. Go to the next thing. That's very solid. That's very solid. Great. Go to the next thing. And then kind of wave its hands in the air and say, it's all very solid. Trust me, it's all solid, and it's always been there. And, if you look back, it'll be solid again. So trust me, it's always solid. It's like the game rendering itself. So in a way, okay, so this is, and my mind's trying to wrap itself around this in a way that would be easy to explain, or easy for me to sort of articulate. Let me read this again. Is this decay, the decay of experiential sensory data, is it due to wandering attention? I'm going to say mostly no. Again, wandering attention can fit in there. It's due to the fact that only so much can fit within consciousness, and we're actually a verb, and all of our experience is a verb, not a noun. So the idea is I'd like to hold this thing very solidly and stay with it without break. But the thing is, all of it's moving and changing and ongoing and flowing. So it's as though we had this little peephole, and behind it is all this stuff happening and moving. And it's is it because this peephole of consciousness is moving, or is it actually because all of this is continuously moving? So yeah, that's generally what I would say. I was also curious during that meditation, it came up in my mind. I was like, wait a minute, how, if we really are seeing the flow and the impermanent nature of our senses, how is it that we can have this sense and concentration practice that the mind is very continuously stable? That's a good question. I want to explore that with meditation, just to get into that, because I feel like my answer right now would be conceptual more than perceptual. But it is true that, like an insight meditation that emphasizes the sort of nature, the impermanent nature of our experiencing, is depends much less on a sense of stability than something like a jhana practice. So there's a way in which they can be different, although they can be also quite connected. The analogy that I actually wanted to expand on, which I haven't yet, is this idea that it's like a video game rendering, and what the mind does is say, okay, this is very solid, because it looks in this little area, and then it looks over here, and oh, this is very solid. This is very solid. But the thing is, it would be way too much horsepower to render the entire world and then have you actually go through it. It only renders what you look at any given point. It just, everything else sort of collapses. But, in a video game, I don't know if anyone's ever played VR, if you move really quickly, things will sort of kind of come into place. They'll come into their position. And this is effectively what the mind is doing. If you right now take a look at any one of the objects around where you are, okay, there's an object, great. It feels like an object. I have a sense that it's an object. Awesome. Very solid. Next, pick a new object. Yep, there's an object. Feels like an object. Definitely an object. There's no conceptual challenge here. Next object. I'm looking at the camera, but you can pick any object. Okay, yep, that's an object. Makes perfect sense. That's an object, very solid. Makes great sense. There's nothing confusing yet. Pick another object, look at it. Yes, very much an object. Notice how much that is an object, and how much, in order for that to feel like an object and to feel solid, to feel stable, all of the other objects have dropped down dramatically in their objectiness. They're just sort of a vague memory. And this object is very solid, but the mind is sort of holding vaguely these other objects and actually kind of put it out of its mind until we sort of thought about it, turned it into a mental object, or looked at it, turned it into a visual mental object. So the mind is like rendering pieces all the time. And so what we're watching is the render speed of the mind sort of go and break down and go and break down. The reason we use the snapshot today is because it does what the mind does anyway. It takes a snapshot. It turns everything into an object. It already does that. So we're just sort of emphasizing that a little bit and then showing how sort of ridiculous or like not reliable that is as an experience. Hopefully that helps clarify. That was fun to explain. Let's have this sucker read this for us.
By the way, Westworld seriously caused me to question the validity of cause and effect being the only way to perceive experience. Might just as well be that I woke up 1 second ago with all these memories somehow, like the chronology of things happening is not a fact but a way to also keep myself together.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And I think that's why Westworld is so compelling. I mean, especially the first season, a lot of Buddhist themes. I mean, it's almost like a purely Buddhist show. Maybe we'll extend a live stream or do some more live streams and just watch all of Westworld. I think we can do that here before. There's no DMC takedowns right now are happening around music, but I don't think they're happening around video. I think we could watch it together, although it would probably take a while because I'd want to comment and stuff like that, but it's such a good show. Okay, here's the point, is that that's my exact experience, is that's how perception works. It's a very good analogy there. The mind keeping self together. And if we look very closely at any of these things, they just break down very quickly if we know how to look. So folks, hit me with any other questions, reports, any other challenges, difficulties, interests, opportunities, these kind of things at this particular moment. And if not, then we'll slide away into the ether here. Let me check really quick something, just my schedule. Okay, I'm going to have to jump off in a sec. Okay, folks, so I have a wish. It's a birthday wish for you. Today's either your birthday or your unbirthday, so this is my wish to you. So in this particular moment, well, first, before we do that, P.S., we're going to be back here in just a few days, just 2 days, actually, fewer than 72 hours, fewer than 48 hours, actually. And we're very excited. It's going to be Freaky Friday, which means that it's also Freaky Frightening Friday, because we're getting closer and closer to Halloween. Maybe it is Halloween. I can't remember. And so we want your ideas, suggestions about what's going on in your practice. What do you want to meditate on? Come on Friday. Tell us what you want to meditate on. We'll come up with a new meditation based on your interests, that kind of thing. Next week, is it next week? Either next week or sometime soon, we have a guest coming for 2 visits. I'm gonna explore our favorite meditation technologies, my favorite new thing that I'm working on, her favorite thing that she's been working on. We're going to guide each other. So you get a little taste of that. It's our friend Aishin. Very exciting. And peace out to you, Nate. So my wish for you before anyone ejects is in this moment sort of soak into the impossibly rich poetry of our current experience, this universe spilling out, expressing itself in the form of human sensing. This was something that was exciting for me in the guidance. So noticing your senses as you take in the world, noticing the sounds around you, the groovy tune of the music, feeling that, soaking into it. This is what was exciting in the guidance, was talking about a cosmos expressing itself in the form of human experiencing. This impossibly rich sense universe exploding out in front of us here over and over again, beautifully, elegantly, without fail. So my wish for you is in this particular moment to detect that, to notice that, to let that seep into your whole system, to have fun, to have interest, and in this way let this practice carry you throughout your day. This is a lovely, lovely time to exist, and luckily it's the one that we happen to exist in. All the challenges, all the difficulties that we face are in themselves impermanent. And there's a richness to this. If we can fall in love with this nature of existing, we get an incredible gift. And we can give that gift to others. So at this moment and throughout your day, just being present with those we might be supportive and helpful of, because we, each of us, can reduce the suffering in the world, of ourselves and of others. And in this way we contribute to the world in a unique and special way, something that could not have otherwise been done. So folks, as always, practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we'll see you all very, very soon.